Guys, I want to talk to you about a thing today that I've had. Now, in the 33 years that I've been renting properties, I have or never ever had to provide anyone with an eviction notice. However, this year, the year and last year, we've had a lot of problems with one tenant. Now, we're not doing the videos today because this is going to be done post-court, but I thought I'd talk about it. I have to evict a bad tenant. Why? Well, this tenant was once a great tenant, and because of that, I gave her actual deposit back. This is one of the biggest regrets I ever made. A decision I made of generosity. What happened was that generosity was taken. The house eventually started to fail in its level of maintenance and care. Due to that, 3-4 months ago, we've had major problems with getting repairs done to the property. There's been a lot more repairs done than the average normal with any other property around that I have. We've currently spent just over £2,000 in property repairs, and there's a lot more to be done. The costs are probably looking in around 4,000 to 5,000 quid at the minute. We have sent what we thought was the official 28 days notice to quit. That was not right, and it was refused by the tenant. Tenant seems to know her rights and insisted that she's been there for 5.5 years, therefore she's entitled to an 8-week notice to quit. Now, I thought that was quite egregious of her, but that was the way it is. She knew her rights, she knew her standards, and of course she's been taking me to plough as a consequence of the way I behave. Currently, she has now, and she has been on this channel, she's been commenting on the channel and leaving nasty negative comments about my channel. Now, I don't have a problem having people given freedom of speech, but they're starting to tell lies about me, then I have a big issue. So this tenant, if you want to call her that, because she's paying quite a cheap rent for the property she's got. She got that cheap rent because she and her former husband were very, very good at looking after the property. So they didn't get rent rises in line with market prices. And it was really, really economical where she was living. A 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom property, really great property. I'm going to tell you a bit about this. This is going now to eviction. We've given her 8 weeks notice to quit, and we've got all the footage, we've got all the videos of it. We've done really well collecting it over the last 3 to 5 months. We are sadly having to sue her as well. So the court service had advised me that I must take her to court before she's evicted from the property, before she leaves. The reason is because she can't escape then a county court judgment. If she moves from her current address to her new address, and she's got the county court judgment, which I can then proceed on bankruptcy, it moves to her new address, which is great for me because I don't want her to think that she can get away with not paying and just move and flit house and then not have her financial insurrections follow her. So that's great. So the court's advised me to do this. So we've got a court date set, and we're suing her for the removal and not the replacement of the carpets, doing damage to fire alarms, doing damage to electrical control panel, really leaving smoking on the premises too, and lighting candles on the premises, leaving burn stains on the ceiling. So the cost that we believe at the minute is 2,000 quid. However, we don't believe that is going to be covered. Remember, I haven't got any deposit in the system, so they're no longer a part of the deposit scheme. We gave them money back on Christmas and said thank you for being such a great tenant. There's your money back. We're not going to ask for a deposit off you, which was really good. I thought that was a show of loyalty and respect to the person. It wasn't repaid. I mean, we've got a door that we have to repaint or replace. They painted graffiti on it of a and then what they done was they painted it over with the wrong color paint. That has to be either fully repainted, fully finished. That's going to cost us to professionally do. There's been a lot of damage to the property. Yes, she's still paying the rent on time. However, I'm not sure that's going to last once the court case comes in and that we win the case. She seems to be quite an angry person, and she wants to believe that she's right, but she's not. She believed that when the fire alarms were broken, and they broke them by taking them down and snapping them, but not replacing them or repairing them. Now, if they did replace or repair them, I wouldn't have had a problem. They could have done that without me even looking, but they didn't. And the reason why they didn't is because they thought that because the fire alarm rules had changed, therefore we had to change the fire alarms. The fire alarms themselves were in perfect condition and they were wired linked. She seems to insist that they weren't and refused to replace them. But under law, I have to replace the fire alarms if she doesn't do it. She didn't do it, and I gave her 4 weeks to do it. She didn't do it. So I went ahead and replaced them. I had to replace the whole lot. Costing me, I think it was over 500 quid. Sorry to interrupt you. Most of you guys aren't subscribed to my channel. So please like, subscribe, and please click on the alert button. Thanks for watching. For this, because I had to put new alarms in then, because the old alarms weren't working. They all had to be replaced. That cost me in around £500. I told her she's going to pay for it. She's insisting she's not, and therefore she's in breach of contract. There are other things that she's done that I find absolutely disgraceful. She's allowed weeds to grow on the balcony, which is eating into the wood, and it's rotting the timber of my balconies, which means that I have to replace it with pure mahogany because it's a hardwood has to be replaced on it. What else has she done? She brought animals in without talking to me. Now, I'm quite kind about animals. I really don't have a problem with animals, but you gotta ask me permission. Have a bit of respect for my property and ask me permission. She was also smoking cannabis on the property. When she was first told about it, she basically said, look, that's my son, I apologize, I'll deal with it. That was great, I was okay with it. But the son kept on smoking cannabis. Every time we went in, there was a real strong whiff of weed in the property, and I don't enjoy that. I'm not accepting that in my property. I'm not insured for it. Because I can assure you, if someone smokes weed, gets high, falls asleep, and then has a cigarette, sets fire to the place, doesn't do the fire alarms, and then decides to sue me for the fact that I didn't fit these sort of smoke alarms, I'd be buggered. I'd lose everything. I'd lose everything I worked for the last 33 years, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to have some idiot who's smoking weed in my property, because it's my house. It's my house. I own it. I earned it. I bought it. I paid for it. I paid taxes for it. I prepaid taxes for it. It was my earnings that done it. And she insists that because it's her home, she can do whatever she wants. And I have to pay for the suffering or the consequence of damaging the property. Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. There's a big video coming out. We reckon it's going to be a 2-hour video, by the way it's going to go. So we're going to court for small claims, small claims against her for £2,000. We're taken to a local court. That took a bit of doing because it cost me 155 in fees, which I will get back. I don't think I will because I don't think she'll want to pay it, and I think she'll happily go for bankruptcy. I have a funny feeling because she's got and this is another thing as well. I asked for the court. I asked for the court guys to see if they would go with mediation. The court said, listen, that's a brilliant idea. Why don't you enact mediation with the tenant and ask the tenant to take part? She refused to take part in mediation. It seems she's falling back on her rights. So she wants to stay in this place as a squatter, I think. Now, I know I'm going to have trouble. I've given 2 notices for 24-hour access because I want to take more videos and I want to look at the property to make sure it's not damaged any further. She's refused me because of whatever reason she has, and she reported me to the council for harassment. So sadly, I'm currently not allowed to email her any other way but one way. I'm not allowed to talk to her. I'm not allowed to knock on her door. I'm not allowed to knock on my door. I'm not allowed to speak to our tenants. I'm not allowed to touch the property, or I'm not allowed. It's basically what I refer to as a tenant requested non-molestation order, where I am not allowed zero contact based on her suggestion that I'm harassing her. But she just doesn't want to hear it. That's what that problem is. So I have to go through the official system and I have to take her to court. If she doesn't want to hear it, she won't attend court. And that means I'm fighting against a hard wall. So this is really a short video. I'm not really going to say too much about it. I'm really, really upset by her. And the reason is she was a great tenant and she was a lovely person. I don't know about her now. I changed my mind about her since she was saying the things about me on YouTube. Her and her cronies were attacking me, stating that I wasn't an electrician and that I was one of the worst landlords there are. Now, if you're spending so much of your life as a landlord and you seem to be still doing it and doing it quite successfully, I think that's a sign of a bad landlord. And if you look at some of the previous videos, including some of the new videos that we got, including tenants that left the property there recently, I'd done up the place perfectly. I spent a fortune on it again when they just left only after a year and a half of tenancy. And the new tenant's already in and she's loving the property. And I've got so many other tenants that say the same things. You guys all say the same things about my tenants and the way I deal with my tenants. I do enjoy working with them. Now, some tenants do sometimes break the rules. And I do tend to go, right, look, you broke the rules. Are you willing to sort it out? And if the answer is no, well, then I have to go to the lease and then say you're in breach of lease 1, 2, and 3. So there is reasonable procedures. And if they're not seeing reason, that's not my fault. I mean, I have asked for the tenant to come and speak to me and use a solicitor to try, and her solicitor to talk to me, so I can go to her solicitor and say, listen, this customer's being, or this tenant's being absolutely unreasonable. They have damaged it. I've got video evidence. There's the video evidence. Please, can you ask her to repair that? And then the solicitor would see reason to say to the client, listen, you know, you really have to pay that guy. I mean, he's trying to keep you in the property. That's what I think I've told her about 18 times. I want her in the property. I don't want to kick her out of my house. She has to stay there. She's paying £680 for a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroomed, 1-garaged property. It's an amazing property. The property itself is valued at £195,000. And yet, she thinks that's too dear. I mean, I'm paying nearly £2,000 in rates in council tax, and I'm paying another £200 a year in charges. And then I'm paying already this year, I think it was £2,700, £2,300 maybe, in maintenance fees of me buying stock, not including my labour rate or anyone else's labour rate. Or yes, it is, it's including the plumber's labour rate, mind you. She broke the bath and blamed the previous tenant, and she's been in the house for 5.5 years, allegedly. I bought the property off another landlord, and I then found out by the other landlord that the reason why they were selling it was because they were giving them gyp, and they just said the easiest way to get rid of a tenant is to just simply sell the property rather than go through eviction notice. I never knew that. You can say you're selling the property and the tenant has no option but to leave, which I thought was a great idea. Never thought of that, did you? So you just sell the property and then the client has to leave within 8 weeks. So anyway, there it is. Tell me what you think. Now, guys, see you landlord haters. I'm not remotely interested in you guys talking absolute bollocks. And that's what it is. Bollocks about things like, all landlords should only charge a maximum of £500. And if the house is £300,000, do you honestly believe it when the rates bill is going to be much higher? Grow up, wise up. There is a system that I produce. I am a great landlord, and I insist on being a great landlord. And you plonkers who come on with your haters, I want you to do me a favour. I am going to update my socials. And if you have a problem with me as a landlord, and if you've got the absolute courage, you're not a yellow belly, you can call me direct and say that to my face. Tell me I'm a bad landlord, and I'll tell you the reasons why I'm not. But anyway, good speaking to you all. I hope to speak to you soon. Please remember to like and subscribe, and always click the alert button. Thanks for watching. I'm away.